has to start over again. Sorry. Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, Dr. Mike. How are you?
Very well. So we've been working with Casey for a while. Do you want to just give us a little overview of, what happened to Casey and, what brought you here?
Sure. Casey's a competitive gymnast, and she was at practice last March. She was on the high beam. She fell off and hit her head on the spring floor, front, and whiplashed back. She got up immediately. Coach asked her if she was fine, and she said she was, even though she was not. She continued to practice for 3 more hours and went to another event with another coach who did not know she fell. She continued to vault into a foam pit, and she hit her head 3 more times without telling the coach that it had happened or telling anyone. She proceeded to come home and did not mention that she hit her head, and continued on her daily routine for the weekend, going out with her friends.
Right.
Sunday went out with her friends, Monday went to school.
And this is common of high-end athletes. They feel like they're indestructible, and they don't want to stop doing what they're doing. So,
Yes.
in her defense, I mean, this is kind of typical of what young athletes do.
Yes, very focused. So she went to school on Monday, still no complaints. Went to track practice for school track afterwards, came home and fell asleep, which we found very unusual for her. She never naps after school.
Mm-hmm.
But just thought she had it was a Monday, thought she was tired.
Mm-hmm.
She got up in the morning on Tuesday, complained of a headache, but again, never mentioning that she hit her head.
Mm-hmm.
Asked her if she wanted to stay home, but being the athlete that she is, she continued on and went to school. And a few periods later, she texted me and said, "Mom, I can't think and I can't read." And I said, "Do you want to come home?" And she said, "No." And then she texted me again like an hour later and said, "I can't eat anything, I don't feel well." And I said, "I'll pick you up." And she, again, being the athlete that she is, would not let me pick her up. She said, "No, I have an easy rest of the day. I have lunch, something else, and science, and I don't want to miss it." At that point, I had already made an appointment at the doctor, and she texted me again complaining, and I said, "You have an appointment, do you have a concussion?" And she said, "I think I might. I have all the symptoms."
Mm-hmm.
So she knew what the symptoms were.
Right.
I then proceeded to pick her up from school. She called me to ask me if I was outside of school, and I said yes, and she proceeded to throw up in the bathroom at school twice.
Not
Took
good.
her immediately to the pediatrician.
Okay. And what'd they say?
Pediatrician is a little old school and
Right.
not innovative,
Right.
and we his answer was looks like she has a concussion, because Casey finally fessed up as to what had happened.
Right.
And he said rest,
Okay.
the typical rest.
Right. Right.
She rested 2 days. I wanted her to stay home the 3rd day on Friday, but my son was having surgery, so I kind of had to leave her, and she still went to school.
Okay.
She came home from school, and she had a headache. And from that point on, basically from the entire time, she had a headache from March until April when we came to see you.
Wow. So were there any other treatments or anything? Did anybody suggest any other evaluations in the meantime?
We went to a sports medicine doctor, because now this was like a month later, and it was not going away. And she walked to the schoolyard with her friends, and they were playing kickball. She kicked the ball and ran to first base, and she was seeing stars. And she didn't tell us, as usual, that she was doing that happened until that night. Immediately the next day, we saw a sports medicine doctor. He confirmed that she definitely has a concussion, more on the severe side. And he, again, just recommended rest. He did recommend, because of the sight problems, she was like not seeing out of 3 spots, 2 in one eye, 1 in the other eye, that we see an ophthalmologist. So I did take her for that. He did a test on her where he could see that she was not seeing out of her eye in those 3 spots, but he did feel that it was going to rectify itself. But he also said no one ever suggested an MRI, which at this point was a month later. It was obvious she did not, thank God, have a brain bleed.
Wow.
However, this was not suggested immediately.
Right, of course.
So we immediately that day got her an MRI appointment, and that did show, thank God, like I said, that was not the case. But there was no other abnormality at this point. So we kept seeing him every week, 2 weeks. He didn't do anything. We just went there and talked about what was still happening. Again, she still had a constant headache. She would come home from school, she would pass out. She was still high functioning in school, even though her grades were very high previous. They were still high, but not where they were.
Right.
And she would just give it her all during the day and come home and
crash.
lose it and crash, and just how she acted, how she would act out, the yelling out of
Personality changes, fatigue,
all of it.
constant headache.
Constant, non-stop headache
Dizziness.
would never go away.
Right. So then we saw her, when did I examine her? How
We
far
saw her
after
in the
injury?
beginning of July. We saw a neurologist who
Right.
basically was not, she was a pediatric neurologist, but she was useless. She just wanted us to wait. Okay, send me all her results and we'll see you in September. This was in
Right.
July. I said that's
Yeah,
not
the
gonna
rest and
help.
wait and see position isn't really, it's not
It's
really,
not working.
yeah, it's not really current.
So a gymnast who's on her team goes to a sports chiropractor, and the mother said, let me just ask him. She asked him, and he highly recommended. He said, you have to see Dr. Mike. He's the one that's going to help you.
Oh, that was nice.
Yes. so that's how we got here.
All right. And then, so when we did the exam, we looked at eye movements, we looked at balance, we looked at her neck, because there was certainly a neck issue going on, and we started treatment. We, we did a QEEG to look at the brain map and look at how our cortex was working. We found abnormalities.
Yes.
And then we started neurofeedback, chiropractic adjustments, nutritional supplements, eye movement therapies, and we did that over a period of time, and which brings us to now, which today was her last neurofeedback appointment.
Yes.
And now she is how? How's she doing now?
She's doing much better. After we saw you in August, we were going away for a 10-day trip, and you gave her some eye exercises to do at that point. And just from those eye exercises alone, the headaches diminished greatly. Just from that, which was a big relief, because having a headache from March through August was unbearable.
Right.
And then she's progressed a lot, where she's not coming home and napping. She's fully functioning again, and her vestibular system. She went snowboarding.
She went snowboarding.
Even though
Yeah, she's back to doing her giants at.
She's tried giants, and she's doing some tumbling on the mat.
Yeah.
And she's really, her goal is to get back to being, she was up there, winning
high
state
end.
bar competitions.
Absolutely.
But
And we'll get there.
getting there.
The point is that brain injuries can, sometimes take a long, long time, but the progress that we've seen has been excellent, and we just have to continue to be careful.
Yes.
And use good judgment when we do the things that we do.
Yes.
But we're also talking about a young lady who's very active, very athletic, and it's like trying to hold back
steam engine.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
it is.
I think the world of her. She's terrific. I love her. I love her passion for what she's doing. But very happy with how she's done, and I'm very happy that you guys came. And what would you say to somebody else who has a person with a concussion in their family?
I would say don't wait.
Yeah.
Because we wasted from March till August not finding the right person, because who knew? It's not.
But you call it?
something
Did you call the concussion hotline?
Yes, I did call the
Yeah.
concussion
So you
hotline.
did everything you thought was the right thing.
I tried as mom to do everything
Right.
I thought was right. I listened to the doctors in the beginning, which most concussions do rectify themselves in those first few weeks.
Right.
But when hers wasn't going away, I felt like I was drowning as a mom, and not. I could talk to my family, but they're my family. They're just listening to me, and no one was helping me.
Cool.
So we felt like we got the help when we came here, and we're continuing. We're working on the cognitive function now and the memory for schoolwork, and hopefully
Right.
we
A lot
have
of things.
hope.
Wonderful.
Hope's what you need.
Would you mind if I share this video with other people?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.